This is St Paul's. It's a district in the centre of the city of Bristol. There are areas like it in most of our large cities. In St Paul's, people of many different origins live together. English, Irish, West Indian, Asian.
My name's Amirah and I'm from Bristol, born and bred Bristolian. Parents from Jamaica. Yes, I was actually at school when it started, and I always remember coming home from school and actually, you know, hearing it and seeing it on the news, and then obviously like our parents was like, oh no, you can't go out there, so we actually sneaked out. So, lots of people, lots of energy, you know, but the good feeling of community standing together, not wanting to, you know, take the disrespect, because obviously there was rumours about how it had started and people were like, well no, you know, we have to make a stand here and now. Well, I think it's any inner city, you know, Bristol itself has a good mix, diverse mix of people, and I think a lot of those people come from countries where you know they've gone through a lot of oppression and stuff, and then you come here and you expect a better life, and then you're treated the same, if not worse, you know, and so you kind of build up, and you've got lots of different communities. Although they're different communities, the plight is the same. So it's like when it kicks off for one, it's like it kicks off for your brother, do you know what I mean? It kicks off for your sister. Thousands. You're definitely talking thousands. I mean, you could, you know, look down Grosvenor Road and you just saw people. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't see the ground. It was just people, and there was always people coming more and more. Do you know what I mean? You're talking thousands, definitely. When everyone quiet. I think it was very much mixed. It was very much mixed. I mean, it may have started off with an incident, you know, which was specifically around the black people or a black person, but when it came down to the actual, you know, the rioting and the looting of shops, and, you know, people came from everywhere. It didn't matter what colour they were. There was a good mix of people. I couldn't say that you could say there was probably more black people than white people, you know. I'd say it was a good mix of people. Who pay your earning to set Bristol burning? Who pay your earning? Who pay your earning to set Babylon burning? Who pay your earning? I said a riot. It wasn't just about raiding the black and white cafe, it was about things that had built up to that, and there was this kind of feeling that the police were disrespecting people anyway, and you know, so I think that was like sort of the tail end of a build-up of things, and that's where it actually kicked off. But I think things had been brewing for a while.
British retail giant Tesco is eyeing a bigger market share in China.
Protesters say it plans to build a Tesco superstore.
Tesco has just issued its first ever profit warning.
to make Tesco in the UK better for our customers, because we think that's exactly the right thing to do.
Campaigners opposed to a Tesco supermarket in Bristol staged a celebratory tea party earlier this afternoon. The No Tesco Tea Party was held outside the shop in Stokes Croft. Organisers said it comes after they won the right to appeal the decision not to allow a judicial review. The appeal will be heard on Wednesday.
I'm coming, bring me along, Donea's coming, I say ring me along, Donea's coming, I'm coming, with that, riot music, riot music, riot music, riot music.
Lots of different separate issues were all twisted into one, the thing called the Tesco Riots. And in reality there was like separate issues and separate things going on that all got kind of like drawn in by the police, loads of police being there and causing a reaction from the people by treating people badly, as far as I can tell.
I see the oh na 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 yeah. Local family stores, you're stealing money and more. You break into local family stores that used to be declaring war. You break into local family stores, but I'm asking what you're fighting for. Cause Babylon's sky has been turned to black. Destruction and violence and mindless riot. Lock them up.
A lot of youth are like disaffected by police and get hassled by police on a daily basis, so they probably jump at the chance to kind of like get their own back at police,
It's all at the scene on my television screen. Young male shot down on a dark cold street.
A couple of bottles were thrown and I saw a girl, a blonde girl, and a few other people grab one of the guys who were chucking bottles, and there was all kinds of commotion going on, and then the police just come in and just like slaughtered everyone, start battering people. Police blocked the road, weren't communicating with anyone. It was a busy bank holiday, it was good weather, there's loads of people out, people started getting pushed and abused by police, and then it kicked off. Just seems quite a regular occurrence anywhere where there's large numbers of people and police in the same place.
This will be a scar on our generation. Now I understand rebellion, not an innocent man. But do you wanna be the one with blood on your hands? Cause you block.
So one of the things that wasn't mentioned in the Stokes Croft Tesco Riots, what they're called, was the Golden Hill Tesco. In 1993, Tesco wanted to build a big store up Golden Hill, the one at the top across the road. And I think the council at the time refused planning application, and the Environment Secretary overturned the decision and granted the application. So loads of people got onto the land and like occupied the land, tree houses and tents and all sorts, for like 66 days I think. They like held off bailiffs and bulldozers until the last day, then they just came in force and got everyone off and built the Tesco. But that wasn't ever talked about.
I see that oh na 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 yeah, na 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 na. And now you're breaking into local family store. You're stealing money and more. You break into local family store. Declaring war. You break into local family store. But I'm asking, what are you fighting for? Because the Babylon sky has been turned to black. Destruction and violence and mindless riot. Yeah. Hey.
riots were very much different to the riots of the 80s?
I don't know, I'd probably say the main differences are two things. Is one, probably there was more of a sense of community, there was less cars, there was less internet, there was no internet, there was none of all these like things that we have today. You know, life was a bit slower in the 80s, I can imagine, like, than it is today, you know, so there was probably a stronger community there.
The riots of the 80s were, I would say, definitely about oppression and definitely about, you know, people being treated different, the sus law, you know, them kind of the sort of stereotyping. In terms of Stokes Croft, I think, yes, it was about not the Tesco not being there, you know, and I think that the people who were actually involved in that, I think there were a few actual instigators who instigated that, and their thing was about Tesco as a big chain taking that place, you know, which is true, but also there's the other side to that in terms of bringing jobs and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Tesco is just like any other multinational corporation. They make money, they're interested in making profit for their shareholders. It's business, like that's capitalism.
Send out reap into pleasure. No, I never transit. Cold nights of pleasure. Never transit. Cold nights of pleasure. Never transit.
So I mean, Malcolm X, the community centre, came out of those riots. That was, do you know what I mean? So after all that rioting, the community was like, well, we need this, we need that. And people were listening, the government was listening, the police were listening. Well, they weren't listening before, or it felt like they weren't listening before.
Send out reap into pleasure. No, I never transit. Those cold nights of passion.
One of the biggest riots that Bristol has ever had was in 1831 in Queen Square. And what I've read about it is like people were protesting about bad working conditions, low pay, and the fact that they couldn't vote because they were poor and they didn't own homes. So only like 6,000 of 104,000 people could vote in the city of Bristol. So 500 men or so, I went to Queen Square, started protesting. I don't know if they like set up camp or whatever, I don't know, there was loads of people there. And then the authorities come, shoot a couple of people with crossbows, and the whole thing erupted into like a massive riot that lasted like 3 days. They burned like 60 buildings, loads of people died, hundreds of people. So yeah, it's pretty mad.